Well, everyone who wakes up in the morning knows about stress. There's good stress that we need. It's invigorating. Then there's the stress that makes you want to pull the covers back over your head and wish the day would just go away. That's the bad stuff that can really tie you up in knots inside, and we've all felt it. Well, author Sue Augustine, she has a secret, and she's here to share all with her latest book, Sanity Secrets for Stressed Out Women. Sue, welcome back to Full Circle.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Good to have you. You know, it is worth mentioning, Sue, that you were our very first guest on our very first Full Circle show 3 years ago.
Do you know, I was just thinking about that I was the very first guest, had the honor of being
and
back.
I guess we didn't stress you out too much because you're back. So
this is my third time to come back.
I know.
Yeah.
You just keep hatching those books.
I know.
One more. This is my 7th book. So I think I was here with When Your Past is Hurting Your Present.
Yeah.
And that book is still doing so well worldwide. It's being translated into other languages. We get cards, letters, faxes, and email regularly. And then turn your dreams into realities. So I was kind of thinking about the progression. You know, you have to first get beyond the past issues, and then you can turn your dreams into realities. And when you do, you have so much stress. You're overloaded
because you're walking out those dreams.
Oh, no.
Because stress comes from positive events as well, as you mentioned. And we can be living our dreams and still have stress in our life. So
I say to my husband, all our pressures are within the realm of blessing.
Yeah.
So many good things to be busy with, you know.
Yeah, to be grateful too is such a key in stress survival, is to look around at the things we have to be thankful for.
And you know what? I think that's the message we all need to hear right now, especially during these really difficult days that worldwide we're experiencing as a community.
You know, women not only have never-ending to-do lists, hectic, crazy schedules, but we also have the concerns that come with what's going on globally right now. And you know, when you think about the word stress, it was actually originally, you don't like to say the word, right?
Did I say it?
No.
One thing I will never say is I'm too busy. You'll never hear me saying I'm too busy, because I just don't believe in that. We're in control of our schedules. But the word stress was actually an engineering term, and it referred to the amount of pressure steel structures could withstand. That's where that word came from. And isn't that interesting that now today we are using that word to refer to our own lives? In other words, how much pressure can you really withstand?
But what I'm fascinated about, Sue, is that in your book, and this actually kind of shocked me and then really convicted me, is that you say that 90% of the stress that I deal with is my assessment and viewpoint of that circumstance. So it's actually not the circumstance, it's how I think about the circumstance. Okay, that means then it's my responsibility. It's not Peter's or my family's or my work. It's actually how I perceive something.
Isn't that wonderful? And in a way, that sets us free, doesn't it? Because we have the choice. The one and only thing over which God gave each of us 100% absolute total control over. There's only one thing we have control over, and that is our power to choose. And every day we're making choices. And so when stress comes into our life, if 90% of that stress comes from how we perceive the event or view the event, then I get to choose. Too often it's too easy for us to want to blame or point the finger or say, if they would change, if this were different, if I worked for a different company, if I had a nicer boss, if I had a different spouse, then I wouldn't be experiencing this stress. And that's really not the case.
But I think the challenge of that, sorry, Ann,
No, go ahead.
is reflected in Paul's admonition to take every thought captive to make it obedient to Christ, to bring it back to what you know for sure. It's not automatic. You got to reel it in.
You have to take it. You have to do it. And the word take is an action word, and it's a verb. And there are so many action scriptures in the Bible that say, if you do this, then I will do that. But if it is to be, it is up to me. I've often said those are the 10 most powerful two-lettered words in the English language that, you know, sometimes we would rather say, well, if God wants it to be, it will be. If it's meant to be, it will happen. But really, it's up to me. Love your neighbor as yourself. Who gets to do the loving? Be anxious for nothing. Who gets to decide if you're going to be anxious? We have so many choices.
Well, why don't we want to take that responsibility on ourselves? Why do we want to say, oh, it's Moira, it's Bridget, it's Anne, and it's not Melinda? Like, what is that in us then it causes me stress?
Well, it does cause stress, and it's scary to take back 100% responsibility. But you know what? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and so I can do that.
And I think the different life stages that we're all in produce their own set of stressful circumstances. Right. I heard this week that one of our favorite sisters, Tweety Bird, is going through a very difficult life stage right now. In fact, we have a picture of her. She's just turned 60. And Tweety Bird looks like she's a little stressed out there at the knowledge that life is moving on. But the different life stages can really catapult us into different stressful situations. You know, a lot of us are in the sandwich life stage where we've got the younger kids and we've got the parents.
We've got parents as well.
I liked your mid-yikes crisis.
Instead of a midlife crisis.
Mid-yikes.
One woman said to me, I'm absolutely positive that God is not a woman because no woman would give another woman teenagers and menopause at the same time.
Well, your book title is Sanity Secrets for Stressed Out Women, to energize and renew your life. So let's talk about some of these sanity secrets.
Well, one of the starting places for dealing with stress is to recognize the symptoms of being in overstress. And you would think that we would all recognize them, that would be natural. But often we're going through stress and we go back to blaming Melinda, as you said. Well, if he would change, if she would change, if this were different. But some of the symptoms are lack of enjoyment, where you just don't have any joy or pleasure in life anymore. Do you remember Saturday mornings when you were a kid, that thrill of getting up in the morning? When you just don't have that anymore, when you wish you could pull the covers over your head. Another symptom is being prone to illness, where you're picking up the latest flu and the latest bug and the latest whatever is going around. And that can lead to more serious situations as well. Feeling a lack of confidence, where you don't feel capable of making decisions, of making choices. Sleeplessness. Did you know there are sleep clinics popping up all over North America right now?
More and more people on machines to get through the night.
To get through the night. And insomnia is a major, major issue. And often we can go to sleep all right because we're totally exhausted, but an hour later we wake right up in bed, if you've ever had that happen when you're under pressure. And then we start playing games with ourselves and saying, you know, if I fall asleep right now, within the next few minutes, I will still get 3.5 hours
Yeah, you do the math in your head, don't you?
We start figuring it out.
Okay, I got 3 hours to go, so okay, go to sleep.
Go to sleep right now. We give the order, we give the command. And so we need to recognize those symptoms. And then instead of in the workshop that I do based on the book, I'll read through all the symptoms and ask how many have these. Well, most everybody has at least one, if not all. And then instead of throwing in the towel and saying, whoa, I guess I've gone over the deep end with this, you know, I've totally lost it, use those symptoms as signals. That is God speaking to you, saying things are not right in your life. It is time to make some changes. I remember one time when I was on my first book speaking tour and book signing tour, I found out I had to have a little dental surgery, and it was going to keep me off the road for about a week. So I had booked this months ahead. I went back on the road to do my tour, and I found myself counting down the days until dental surgery.
Oh, wow.
Because it was going to mean a week off, you know, and I thought, wait a minute, things have gone too far, and I'm actually going 3 more days till dental surgery.
Now, one thing that you mentioned in your book that I thought was so interesting, you say that women like to be CEOs in their life, and that stands for Chief Everything Officer.
Yes, that is so true. We have, and especially as Christian women, and we have taken the verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and we've turned it into, I must do all things and be all things to all people at all times. Someone left a little letter on my podium one time after a speaking engagement, and it said, Dear Sue, you are not absolutely totally responsible for taking care of everybody and everything at all times. That is my job. Love God.
Wow.
Isn't that powerful? So I try to keep that in front of me, because we do feel responsible. We feel responsible for our adult children, for our sister, for our husbands. We take on that responsibility, and we think if I don't do it, it's all going to fall through. And Yeah.
And I was going to say, because as you were talking about this, I was thinking in your book, too, you've got a lot about coping mechanisms. And I have to tell you this. So I was very stressed out yesterday. I had a really stressful day. And I was reading through your book. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to apply these things to my life. So, well, the first thing that happened is a friend of mine stopped by work, and we had a laughing fit. And one of your coping mechanisms is humor and laughter, that we need to laugh more. And that's why I try to have a life where I laugh a lot, because it really does change your outlook. So I had a really good laughing fit in the parking lot here at Crossroads.
But did you know that smiling
smiling, so laughter,
increases
smiling.
the blood flow to your brain? You may not have a big thing bubbling up in here, but if you just smile. Sue, I did not know that.
So we need to just keep doing this.
Sorry.
Like this.
Yeah.
I just feel like this the whole time.
That was great.